Good afternoon, I'm Terry Moran, and we have breaking news at this hour. Police are on the scene of a shooting at a Christian school in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison police are telling that the shooter is deceased, but there are reports of multiple other injuries. Authorities say this investigation is active and they are urging people to avoid the area. We're still working to find out more details, but we know the scene of this shooting is the Abundant Life Christian School. That's a private academy for grades kindergarten through 12 with about 390 students there in Madison, Wisconsin. Let's bring in ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky, along with former FBI agent Brad Garrett. So, Aaron, first to you, what do we know right now about what's happening in Madison?
Not much, other than it's still an active scene. Terry, police in Madison told me a little while ago the shooter is down. It's unclear exactly what that meant and that there were multiple injuries, perhaps more than a half dozen. The status of the injured was not immediately clear. I know police were responding to this Christian school along with a rescue task force. That means that police were going in to clear the classrooms room by room inside the school with EMTs so they could provide immediate care if necessary, and they arranged different levels of trauma care outside in the parking lot area. But it's still an active scene, police there, but they do believe the shooter is down.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. And Brad, you know, at this point, the whole country knows what happens next, but an active scene, Aaron tells us. So they're securing the scene, or are they also looking for, well, what are they doing right now, given this early hour?
So obviously you have to treat the victims first, but while you're doing that, this is a lot of simultaneous work. You have to make sure he is a lone shooter. Now, typically that is the case, but does he have a vehicle there? Had he been in the school for a while, could he have planted something else, like explosives or something flammable? So as you go through and search this school, you're going to have to keep that in mind. Again, another unit then will look at the shooter, look at where he's from, what vehicles does he drive, what weapons, if in fact weapons were used, and I'm going to assume that's the case here, where do they come from? Because that you need immediate information about him just to make sure that this is a lone actor and there's not any other players involved.
Right, so it's a security situation at the moment in addition to an investigative scene. Aaron, what do we know about the injured? We've heard several are injured.
Injuries, in fact, and a number of them transported to the hospital. So that tells us, Terry, that the injuries are serious enough to warrant treatment at a hospital. We were told there were some of the injured who were not transported, not clear because their injuries were not severe or if it means something worse. So we're still waiting to find out from police. But when I talked to them a little while ago, they said they were asking people to avoid the area as they work to clear the building room by room. Police working hand in hand with EMTs to do that. And you can see they've got access to the school blocked off while they arrange ambulances in and out.
I'm wondering about, this is Abundant Life Christian School, K through 12. Are there increased threats against religious schools? We just saw one in California.
I don't know. I'd be hesitant to say there's increased threats. Are there reportings of people wanting to do violence at a particular school? Probably, but that's fairly common. I think you do have to look at sort of the populations that go to certain schools, and you break that down into what's the risk factors here. Because Terry's schools, we'll have to see, of course, about this particular shooter that sounds like he's maybe deceased, is what was his connection to the school? Because there typically is that history. And that's really the key to looking at these shootings as to, is he a current student, former student, had issues at the school, whatever it might be. You need to look at all that. And that's what schools need to continue to do to perhaps get in front of people like this particular shooter, if in fact they had any information about him.
Right, and I just want to pick up on something that's obvious, but maybe we don't notice it enough. You're using the male pronoun him and he. They're all young men, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, with rare exception. I mean, occasionally we've had mass shootings that involved two people that are male and a female, but yes, I mean, when you and I talk about this, sadly, on a regular basis, it tends to be a lone young male.
Yeah. And Aaron, so this is on the outskirts of Madison. That is the state capital, as well as a thriving university community. Obviously, the police have their hands full right now there.
Oh, they sure do, Terry. And they responded not only with local police, but we were told that officers from neighboring communities were coming to help as well. And at this early stage, they want to be, as Brad noted, prepared for just about anything, whether there was going to be some kind of follow-on incident, whatever was intended. By now, with the shooter down, police perhaps have a bit more of an indication about who the person is and what this person may have been about. So that may be affecting their posture some. But we do know that with multiple injuries, that was the first priority.
And Aaron, we now have word that the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, they are on the scene as well. That's quick.
It is quick, and it's there's no reason to believe at this point that it's anything other than a local concern. We know that the FBI was monitoring Terry, but so far it looks like it's going to stay with the Madison police. What does that tell us? Not a lot, but it may indicate that they don't believe, for example, that there is some kind of terrorism type concern here, that it may be more of a criminal type motive. They're still undoubtedly looking, and if they need more federal resources, they'll get them.
Absolutely. And Brad, let me just pick up with that with you. So what's the federal role here?
So typically it's support. Now, ATF is a logical response team only because they can quickly maybe ID the firearm, assuming it's a registered serialized firearm, and it may give you additional indicators potentially about the shooter. Does he have other weapons? Because there's always a concern secondarily here, Terry, is that as you get more information about this shooter, you also have to be careful going to a residence where he lives, because some people will booby trap those if in fact nobody else lives there. It's just, I'm throwing that in because it's other things you're going to have to look at as you move along in this case. That isn't typically the case, but it does happen occasionally. But you could also get the FBI to respond. They have an office in Madison as well as, I think, ATF. So they'll be there to support. And if leads need to be worked or there's a particular issue comes up that needs a expertise or a technology that the Madison police might not have, then the FBI and or ATF could help them.
Right, as you pointed out earlier, they're going to go through the school looking for booby traps or anything else. And as I say, it's unfortunately now a well-known, well-honed routine that our law enforcement go through. Aaron and Brad, thank you. Stand by.